What's up, my shapey friends? I am Vince, and welcome back to the Shapez BEASTMAM series. Welcome to the start of what could be considered the bonus material of this video series. With 35 videos under our belts, we now know how the BEASTMAM operates, how it does what it is supposed to do, which is take the shape input signal from the hub, figure out how to make that shape, produce it, and send it off. But since this machine is kind of a vanity project for me, I wanted to make a machine that wasn't just functional. No, I decided to kick some fun with it as well. So apart from the pure functionality of a Shapez Industries TMAM, the BEASTMAM also has a few gimmicks added to it that seemed fun to me if I shared them with you. So let's look at where we currently are in our chapter structure. We talked about the layer painter inputs last time, so we can get rid of that. But not only that, no my friends, we are also done with the entire assembly bit, so subchapter B can also get out of here. But wait, there's more! We've said everything there is to say about the production lines as well, so we're gonna close even chapter 5 as a whole and move to the very last chapter of this series, which will be called Shenanigans. In our new chapter, we start the first subchapter, and that will be about the fifth layer. That's what I want to talk to you about today, the fifth layer. Now, it is not my intention to talk about what a fifth layer is. If you're watching this video and you're like, can't shapes in this game only have 4 layers? Then I recommend watching earlier series of mine. This video is going to assume that you know what a fifth layer means in the context of this game, and also that you have at least a rough idea about the contexts in which you might want or need to use it. Okay? So then, if I'm not going to talk about any of that, then why do a separate video about it? Well, as I said, because I decided to have some fun. And the first gimmicky thing about it is that it's actually more than just a fifth layer. It's a 6th, 7th, and 8th layer as well. Because why not, right? All you need is that ceiling for an anchor point, and then you can take whichever shape you want. And I thought, you know what? I've always used a plain, uncolored circle before, and that's lame. So let's get creative. How about if I create a fifth layer shape that's actually based on the input? So that's what I did. Let's have a look. Let's see. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Bit more. Just a little bit. Perfect. So here's where the fifth layer shape is created. And essentially, the gimmick is that I cut the shapes into its corners. You know, top right, bottom left, and top left, like slices of layered pie. Then split the pieces into layers. Those pieces then get combined with one another into a single quadrant each. Then those quadrants are stacked on top of themselves until we get 4 layer slices again. Those are joined and the entire thing is smelted all the way at the right. Yum, pie. Now, first and foremost, I am going to create 2 copies of my pie. One copy is painted red and it moves right, and the other one is painted white and moves left. Let's follow the white one first, and also, since this machine is currently running on auto mode and regularly switches shapes, let's lock in a shape that's guaranteed to get a value on this wire, shall we? Excellent. Now, the first order of business for this wire is being subjected to the judgment of whether a fifth layer is even allowed. So this line runs down, and then here we passed by this section a number of videos ago. This is just a simple filter that will allow the fifth layer to pass if the main input shape has 4 layers and block it otherwise. In this case, it isn't blocked, so it runs down into the validator module, where first it will be used for virtual stacking. All right, and then let's follow this line to the right. Let's follow it to the right. Here it is. It moves all the way to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. It gets captured by the capture mechanism. And now we end up at this intersection. And we can see that there's another wire coming from the top. Now, this wire, it contains the red variant of our pie shape. Yum, pie. And you can see that if we don't get a fifth layer shape that's painted white, I want you to look at this NOT gate right here. If we don't get a fifth layer shape that's painted white, then the NOT gate will trigger the transistor, and now we get a red fifth layer shape output anyway. So what's up with that? Well, that actually brings us to the observation that this fifth layer shape actually performs more than one function. Two, to be precise. One is the actual fifth layer function. So the fifth layer shape is actually input right here. And with the help of this sneaky little item producer right here, I actually make it produce the same shape that we created on the wire. And I know, we're not supposed to use variable shape producers in MAMs, but firstly, it doesn't aid the BEASTMAM in performing better or anything, and secondly, I don't care anyway, so the haters can stick it. So, the shape comes in through this orange wire, where it feeds into the stacker module that we've spoken about, so the layers can get stacked, right? But the second function of this shape is that I use it as a cleaning tool. Have a look at this. With the way I built this final stacker array, as you can see, the individual little stacker setups might get cues in their left input lane sometimes. And now I decided that the time it takes the decoder to find a new solution whenever the machine switches over from one shape to the next, well, I would take advantage of that time to clear those cues. So what happens if we cut the input shape? Let's have a look at that. That's right. The fifth layer shapes are released and they clean up for us. Not only that, but after everything's been cleaned up, the shapes themselves stop being released. And I bet you're wondering now, what is this dark magic? Well, let me show you. Remember that crossroads section in the decoder where we decided we were going to emit a fifth layer signal either way? Well, the wire carries a white signal if the shape actually allows a fifth layer or needs one, and a red signal otherwise. Okay? So, the color of the shape on that wire is going to influence how this fifth layer input is going to behave exactly. First things first, if there is a shape on this wire to begin with, then that will be the shape that the item producer produces. As a matter of fact, let's just, put the shape input back. Just a sec. So, as I was saying, if there is a shape on this wire to begin with, then that will be the shape that the item producer will output. If there is no signal on the wire, then a belt reader setup will kick in and release a generic 4-layer shape instead. Okay, that's that. But then a bunch of other factors is going to influence when the fifth layer is triggered and when it isn't. And there are a few scenarios. The first scenario applies when this fifth layer shape code is white. If the shape is white, then it means, firstly, that the decoder has come up with a solution for this shape, and secondly, that the solution allows a fifth layer to be stacked on top. In our current example, that isn't the case. If it would be white, you see that the analyzer connected to the orange wire would harmonize with the comparing unit and trigger a 1 on the filter. In other words, if the decoder has found a shape that allows for a fifth layer, the signal will be white and the shape will always be fed into the stacker. If the shape isn't white but red, that's scenario 2, and that's the one we're currently looking at. If the shape is red, then an entire system of belt readers connected to OR gates will spring into action and do the following. If any of the belt readers located on any of the 8 input lines on the left picks up a signal, then the OR gates will pass that signal downwards until it feeds into this NOT gate, which turns it into a 0. This means that if there is nothing on any of the belt readers, the signal passed downwards is a 0, which the NOT gate transforms into a 1, and that releases the fifth layer shape, which will start performing the cleaning function. This, however, will only be the case as long as the factory is in its initial production stage. As soon as one of the pieces is ready and feeding into the stacker, a 1 will be triggered instead, transformed into a 0 by the NOT gate, which will close the filter and thus shut off the fifth layer shape. In other words, the cleaning function only applies as long as none of the actual pieces are ready. And as soon as one of them is, the fifth layer will cease activity. Nice, right? But we're not done yet. If we look at the wiring, we also spot this AND gate right here. The right input of this AND gate is connected to the main input signal. This means that when we cut the input, neither scenario 1 nor 2 can apply. Instead, this other NOT gate triggers scenario 3. Scenario 3 will make sure, through this other AND gate, that the fifth layer shape performs its cleaning function for as long as there are still shape pieces coming from the left. If the signal is cut, then the remainder shapes on all of the belts will still be fed into the stackers, and as long as that's the case, the setup will make sure that the fifth layer shape is being fed too. And then the final scenario is scenario 4, triggered by this last green wire. The green wire is connected to the topmost, rightmost mini storage right here, this one. And it came into existence after I had the crazy idea to purposefully let the entire factory clog from front to back. So it turns out that if you do that, the topmost rightmost mini storage of the final stacker is the last one to get cleared, and as long as that's the case, the fifth layer shape will be in its clean mode. That way, even if it takes a ton of time, the BEASTMAM is capable of completely cleaning itself and all of its belts. Because, you know, I'm a bit of a madman. And on that note, I think we can take a break, actually. Still a few more shenanigans left to cover, so I hope you'll be tuning in. As always, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel, you know, smash that button so I feel a little less crazy. And then that'll be all from me today. My friends, I've been Bins. See you soon. Bye-bye.